and just stand still as everything passes through me and just go. And just like, yeah.
Captain's Pod, star date 214422.3. These are the voyages of the Starship's Enterprise. And then the theme music stops. Amazing. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief short leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I am your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me, as always, is the crystalline Ambassador Deneé Hughes. She is drunk.
I'm a crystalline? No, I am hyped up on caffeine, though. It's a frantic energy.
The crystalline entity is that snowflake in space. That was the name of the species.
Oh, yeah. I'm a snowflake species today?
Yeah, I think that.
Fuck yeah.
So this is a snowflake that goes planet to planet, destroys the planet, consumes it, eats it, and then fucks off.
I'm down.
That is super on brand.
I mean, do I have to eat planets?
Well, yes, or else you die.
But what about, like, moons?
If there are people on the moons, yeah, but you'd have to eat a lot of moons.
There has to be sentient beings.
There's got to be organic material on there, yeah. And the more, like, kind of organic, the better. I don't know what that means.
Well, maybe I'm like the special kind of snowflake that's like the vegan version.
You are a very special snowflake. There is no denying that.
Thank you. But I mean, like, for like food-wise, like,
you're a vegan crystalline entity.
My gut biome is very different than the rest of my species.
Cool. So what do you survive on?
Asteroids.
Asteroids. Yeah. Ice.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I would love to see? We need to watch that episode, but I would love to see the big snowflake face off against a Borg cube, because it's bigger than a Borg cube. This thing is huge. And I don't know that we've definitely not seen them face off against the Borg. It'd be so fun.
I mean, all of my fellow snowflakes judge me, but
yes,
I like to just stand in the stream, like in the asteroid field. And just stand still as everything passes through me and just go. And everyone just looks at me like, you're dumb. There's a delicious sentient planet just over there. Yes. And I'm like, I have to consume so many more asteroids and meteors and all this stuff just to survive. But it's because secretly I love all of this.
But you hate asteroids.
It's what I sacrifice my own diet for their safety.
Just eating rocks all day because you love humans so much.
But then my super, super secret is they actually consume other snowflakes.
Holy shit. That is a great storyline. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like when they go off from the pack and they judge me, they're like, well, we'll see you later, dumb snowflake, Deneé. And I'm like, yeah, see you later. And then I like zip around the alley of space and then see him in the alley. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do what needs to be done here.
Zap, 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 zap.
People wonder.
Cannibal snowflake.
I need one snowflake every millennia to survive.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's not going to make for a great show then if we only see it once.
Well, there are other beings besides humans that find it very interesting.
Yeah, that watch TV shows one season a millennia. Yeah. Cool. So, speaking of things that are going on for a millennia, let's get into the show.
Oh my God, we're here to talk about Picard.
Yes.
I am dreading this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of worried. So this week we'll be covering off Season 2, Episode 7 of Star Trek Picard, which is called Monsters.
Great.
Well, my bold prediction is that this is going to refer to actual monsters and human emotional monsters as well. So this is
and snowflake monsters.
And snowflake monsters are going to be in the show regardless because Deneé is here. Yeah. So last week and the week before, and probably the week before that, we've had some struggles. Picard is now in a coma of some sort. Picard's golem body. Everyone is gathered around him. Laris is going to jump into his mind. I hope we spend a lot of time with Agnes and Queen just assimilating people in San Francisco. LA. Yeah, LA. Which would be fun. Any specific predictions, or are we pretty confident this is going to be look into Picard's past and who knows?
If I made a snowflake plush toy...
This is how invested Deneé is right now.
I feel like, it would come with like the little tag on it that would talk about where the plush toy comes from. And
the origin story.
And it would be like, I eat my fellow snowflakes because I care. It's sort of like my mantra.
That's your motto. Your motto, yeah.
Yeah. I really want to see this plush toy come to life. It's a very strange one because it's so holy.
Well, actually, no. I'll show you a picture of the crystalline entity, and it will.
Because you're saying snowflake, so I have
Yeah.
I have a snowflake in my imagination.
Yeah.
Does it not look like an actual snowflake?
It kind of, not really. It's more like a tree.
Well, that's very different.
There you go.
Okay.
I am showing Deneé the crystalline entity.
Wow, I'm so pretty.
You are so pretty.
Oh my God, look at all my
you.
branches and shit.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That
And
could
then you do
totally
like
be a
some
plush toy.
like zappy thing. I wonder if it's got a picture of the zappy.
Okay.
Look how pretty this is.
Okay, check it out. So it's one of those that you can hold it at night and you squeeze it and it lights up.
Oh, that would be amazing.
You know,
yes,
like
that's
a little
perfect.
glow thing.
That's perfect. I mean, but look
Yeah.
at that picture of it just like poking the shield bubble of the Enterprise. It's like, get off me. Stop poking my shield.
And maybe it comes with smaller ones that I can consume and it holds it inside so that whoever gets the plush toy can experience the
Poop
joy of
them out?
saving or poop them out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's fine. I was going to say saving other cultures because mine is the vegan crystalline
of course.
entity.
Yes, of course.
I eat my fellow snowflakes because I care. Anyway, yeah, this is all going to be inside the mind of Picard. I am scared. I am nervous. I am hoping that I enjoy it. But I'm also like, it looks so traumatizing. This flashbacks that Picard has been having, they look so traumatizing. There's his mother being constantly dragged away and screaming for her life, and so whatever he's put away in his mind is obviously intense, and I don't know that I'm wanting that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe stick to like kind of a more light-hearted Star Trek adventure, but
here we go.
Wants to talk about some stuff, so let's see. Who knows? With that,
I wish I had my crystalline,
little plush like
so I
Whoopi.
could hold on to it.
Your little crystalline Whoopi.
Oh, no.
With that, we will see you guys for a full debriefing 10 forward after we have watched episode 7 of Star Trek Picard. Computer 2 to beam to Picard's brain. Welcome to 10 Forward, the
10
part
Forward.
of the show where
Part
we
of the
grab
show.
a drink from the replicator
Replicator.
and share our
Share
immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Important question first. What is your beverage of choice, you chaotic ball of nuisance?
Oh, well, ironically, that is the name of my drink.
Oh, a chaotic ball of nuisance? Nice. That's great. What's in it?
When we were at Sin Week, there was a drink that they had that was given over, and it was a spherical container that had a special lid that you sort of twisted and popped off, and it also continued the spherical shape, so the straw just came out of like this curved part of it. And at the very, very bottom, it was just slightly flat, so you could set it on a surface and it wouldn't roll. And if you pressed up into it, lights would illuminate the drink from below in different patterns, some of them very, very dangerous. Anyway, that's what I'm drinking.
A Snagglepuss.
In my imagination.
Was it called a Snagglepuss?
Sparklepuss.
Sparklepuss, much better. I'm having a glass of wed wine. I'm having a glass of white wine because I enjoy fiction.
Okay, so literally, I like that our show went from what we were actually drinking to now what our imaginations need to survive.
Yeah, I need to survive to get through the episodes. So, yeah, this week, episode 7, Monsters, we dive into Picard's brain to find out the traumatic past that he has been burying
Hiding?
and building up walls around.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm doing the intro.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Quick synopsis. Seven and Raffi go on a hunt to find Agnes and Queenie. Rios seduces a woman and a child, essentially. And Deneé's on the floor. So Deneé, overall thoughts of the episode.
First of all, I feel like Rios kidnapped a couple people this episode.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Non-consensual transporting.
Is this the Stardust City rag of season 2?
It's not quite as ridiculous or fun. But I guess it's close.
I mean, it's pretty wacky doodle.
It's pretty wackadoodle. Overall impressions.
Okay, this episode felt like going to a D&D convention and walking table to table and just listening to the different adventures that are happening at different...
Yes.
Because it's like, there's literally a dungeon.
Yeah.
Then there's some monsters.
And then space.
There are mentions of like 8-hour spells.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of space going on.
None of it is really linked together at all.
And then there's also like what's actually happening in our timeline, the good timeline, the one they're trying to save. We still don't know if this is the timeline that's savable or not. We still are not sure.
Nope.
So yeah, this was a very strange one.
I didn't like it again, and I feel like I'm being so miserable. But
this wasn't great. This wasn't great. No, it was very. Yeah. I think I'm gonna read you a note that I wrote.
Go for it.
Okay. So we've just spent an episode so that Picard could talk to his own mind and realize that his dad wasn't a total asshole and had to lock up his mother for his own good, and that somehow created Picard to be the man that he is that will somehow save worlds.
Yep.
Is that right?
Correct. That's what the episode wants to tell you. Yeah.
Okay. And how we got there is very, very interesting. I feel like I just watched Stardust City Rag. That's how I feel. I feel like, what the fuck? What did I just see?
But the problem is, it's dealing with something super serious. Like Stardust City Rag wasn't. It was just like a really kind of throwaway, fun, goofy episode. This was meant to be like some really hard-hitting, deep. Here's the origins of Picard. Here is why he is the way he is, why he's cloned off, why he chose a life in space and isolation. But
it still didn't explain that because it ends that whole series with him getting a key out. So it still didn't actually show us. It showed us maybe the origins of the trauma of his mother being cuckoo bananas of some kind. And I think the idea is that she was paranoid and
it sounds like she
took him to the dungeon-esque parts of the Thousand Ways to Die down there, indicating that if they go into the subterranean part of the house, that it's really, really dangerous. And she wanted to go down there and potentially lose the both of them or hurt the both of them somehow. But he was stuck.
Yeah.
So then Dad could find him because of the paper.
A pad that he took with him. Yeah.
That had a drawing on it that's reflected in the sun thing. It's all so loosely tied together. It's as if they're like, oh, well, maybe because one of them is wearing the color blue, we could also just point to a blue wall and that'll make sense to someone.
So they very deliberately don't name the mental illness or exactly what is wrong with her, and I don't think they will. I think they're going to use it just as a metaphor for all mental illness, which is for me a little bit icky anyway. But yeah, it sounds like she took him into the basement because she didn't think that they were safe upstairs and downstairs in the basement was safer.
Right. I even went to an even darker place where maybe she was going to kill them both.
Well, that is a possible outcome, isn't it? That the only way that they can both be safe is if they both leave Earth.
But then it's
forever.
Right. But then it looks like she runs around the corner. He can't move to go chase after her.
Yeah.
So he feels responsible for her getting in trouble from the father, which I understand from a child's perspective, that would be a very traumatic thing to watch.
Oh, yeah.
And that from the perspective of an adult, you can look back on that and have a different idea.
Yeah.
But the father figure is also in Picard's mind consoling himself.
Yeah.
So there's still, that's a confusing thing to me, is even if you go back into that memory and you look at it from a different perspective, it's not like Picard came across some piece of information that helped him understand his mother's specific. It's all from his own imagination, right?
So
am I missing something?
The only way I can logic it through is that he has all of these memories, and but this isn't how brains work. We don't record everything. But let's say all that he remembers is that his dad locked away his mother, and that was really cruel. But in reality, he does have memories of her being mentally unwell, being unstable, and his dad trying to explain that to him, but he suppressed it all because he's got his mum up on this platform of being a queen, and it's easier to remember her as the victim rather than the person that was tortured and failed by her own mind and body. And then as a consequence, he vilifies his dad because that's easier, and he just holds on to this one perfect parent.
Or he let his mother out and she influences,
my prediction is that,
his future of how he saw his father.
Yeah, so I think that if I'm making a leap, he lets his mother out, she does something very violent, and that is how she loses her life. That's how she dies, perhaps.
Maybe Picard himself has to be the one to end something.
Maybe, so I don't think that's the kind of trauma you can probably bury or recover from.
I mean, you can become a captain and launch yourself into space and never get close to anybody.
Well, I mean, there is that, but I feel like, man, he would remember it. I think it's more likely that he blames his father for his mother's death, but it all started with him unlocking the cupboard. So, and that's the trauma that he's burying, is that he him letting
was
his mother
responsible
free,
is what-
resulted in that.
okay, yeah.
But he's blaming it completely on his dad. That's the bit that he's really suppressed and buried.
Ooh, it was one where you really had to make a lot of reaches, and then you juxtapose that with the crew losing their minds and doing things that it just does not make any sense. That
Doesn't make a damn bit of sense.
Fuckity butterfly effects. We're telling people that we're from space, or that we're from the future and we work in space. We're taking them to we're taking them to spaceships, and then we end with Picard being arrested. Listen, I don't know what to think about the show anymore.
It's so tricky.
It started
isn't it?
off really, really strong for me, and we're in the shaky ground area. As you age, and you just walk around, sometimes your body fails you, and you're like, "Wow, I've got a weak ankle. Where did this come from?" This is when you stabilize before a break, and I'm like, "Are we going into a break?
Yep. Or we're just going to fall down.
Going to be, getting some brace work on our legs a little bit?" And
I mean, we started off the episode both being like, "Yay, we're in space! It's
we
great."
sure did.
Like, this is so easy for me. It's like, we're in space. That's great. There's a new uniform. Awesome. Like, I don't recognize that uniform. That's cool. When are we? And James Callis, who most sci-fi fans will know from Battlestar Galactica, he's an awesome, awesome actor and a really fucked up character in that show. But it's cool to see that crossover of him jumping into Star Trek, even if it's only going to be for this episode.
Because he's playing Picard's father.
He's playing Picard's father, and therapist, which I did like that. I mean, it was
interesting.
It's an interesting situation to put Picard in. But it's always great to see him on screen. I think he's awesome. But
I really enjoyed the intensity that he brought to that scene, like the opening part, where he's but I found the dialogue difficult to follow.
And that comes back to my biggest problem is I don't like dream episodes. So everything is metaphor, everything is abstract because that's what dreams are. So there ends up being so much that you have to pay attention to. Like, I'm looking at all of the scenery, all of the objects, every line of dialogue, and instead of being in the moment, I'm trying to predict what the episode is going to tell me and the clues that they're trying to lay. And that just is always the case with dream episodes. They just become so frustrating.
I wanted the subtitles on so that I could maybe read it as well.
Yeah.
I felt like there were some things that were being said that were really important that I just missed. Like, I either didn't understand the way that it was being enunciated, or I was just missing things entirely.
Yeah.
Now, I should say that during the opening credits, Aaron decided to turn his volume up to 1,000 on the speakers and make the entire room shake. And both he and Ian, like, Aaron is doing the conducting arms in the sky. Ian is like opened up his soul to receive the sound waves, and I'm like, I would like my eardrums when I'm 80. I would. All right, who's flipped roles now, sir?
Heck yeah, I love it. There's only one thing that I really pulled out from the dream, and that is the golden orb that was handed to him. And I couldn't help but think that was the Romulan star that exploded. So, because that's going to be the next biggest. There's got to be like the stuff that happened when he was a kid, being assimilated by the Borg, and then losing all of most of the Romulans because he failed in quotation marks.
Can we skip ahead for a second?
Yes, we can.
Romulan. Is that Laura? I'm so confused.
An ancestor. So it's Laris's great grandmother. So the supervisors that set up these missions pick a person from that race to protect somebody in history or protect a point in time. And usually a Romulan will look after a Romulan, a Vulcan will look after a Vulcan, whatever.
But in this case,
because it's fucking convenient to, they pick a Romulan, and it has to be this Romulan, and disguise her and then make her look after Renee. Now, it could be that the supervisors know that eventually in Renee's life, her great-great-great-great-great-grandson, Jean-Luc, will come back and have to protect her, and he will trust this Laris. It could be that they know the whole circle. They see the whole thing. So that's why she looks like she has to be Romulan.
Well, I liked my Q idea.
I like your Q idea better as well. And it could still be that the supervisors are the Q. Who knows? Who knows? And I'm sorry, but if you say if you mention a queen with red hair, I'm going to think of Beverly Crusher, and I'll be disappointed when it ends up being Picard's mum. Yeah.
The transition of his mind into his mind was very interesting.
Yeah, the couple of different layers.
I feel like what they were going for is that the child's version of the memory is
safer. Yeah, exactly.
And so the pictures move and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, I thought we were in a holodeck. I thought that there was what I mean by that is that he was having a memory of he and his mother playing in a holodeck together.
Oh, okay.
And this was part of like a pre-programmed adventure where he and the mom would like go on these things and then they'd have to like save each other. And that kind of fucked up the kid because it got too real. Like I watched my mom get dragged away. And that happened so many times that it really desensitized me. And
I mean, that's probably more realistic. Like that would happen, like holodeck psychosis or a break from reality. They deal with that in TNG, where there's a character that has a holodeck addiction. And
call it a holoddiction.
Holoddiction. And why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
You can paint your perfect world. Like, just spend 2 hours in the real world to, I don't know, whatever you have to do, and then the other 24, just 22 in the holodeck.
You're talking to somebody who spent like 12 hours doing like role play games.
Yeah.
Like I could lose myself inside a video game. So I would
imagine if it was like physically there. It's crazy.
I was disappointed when it was like, oh, this is actually some kind of a representation of his version of a reality of some kind.
Yeah.
And then the smoke comes in, and then these monsters come out, and I'm wondering, so what is this based on? And I think that's where things get really convoluted, and you have to make a lot of assumptions, which is, that he is making the situation harder for himself because he's too afraid to go to the door.
Yeah.
I think you can get there by the end, but when you're in it, I'm just wondering what is.
And that's my exact problem with dream episodes, is that in the moment it feels convoluted, complicated, but then when you take a step back and look at it all, it's actually really... It's so simple, and I mean, you can do dream stuff really, really well. It is possible, but 9 times out of 10, it's done so quickly, it ends up being really simple. So I think it is as simple as John Lucas turned this memory into a fairy tale because it's easier and it's more comfortable, it's more abstract to pretend it's a story that his mother told him rather than the reality of what it was.
Yeah.
And his father is the therapist.
That's another level of his dream, is that he's actually doing a psych evaluation.
Yeah, and because his father is the only one that has all of the answers. He's the only one that can say, no, this is what happened, not your fairy tale.
I was really bummed that when the reveal came for that moment, that I was just like, okay, whatever. I wanted it to mean something more, and maybe it's, I don't know, maybe they didn't. So season 1 was dealing with, Picard's hubris and people kind of like bringing him down a notch.
Mm-hmm.
And then now in season 2, it's what's the motivation of Picard? Where does what made him quote unquote this way?
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that the way that Picard is, I enjoy. Yeah. So I'm not really concerned about digging into it for anything. Like with the way that the dad character was the psych evaluation guy, and he's digging in and he's wanting Picard to say something, I was like, this is so boring. What are you digging for? That he has a hard time connecting to people? That happens all the fucking time. Like, none of this is so, to me, there hasn't either been enough build up to this great mystery that's being solved right now, or I'm missing a lot of Picard. Like, as a fan, I don't know why I care this much about figuring out what happened to his mother.
Mm-hmm. I think you've absolutely summed it up. The show is asking and answering a question that no fan has asked.
I don't understand
why. Not many fans. There are some characters that are so mysterious, perhaps you do want to know the origins and what made them the way they are. Like Gandalf, maybe. Like, he's 1,000 million years old. But the bottom line is, when you do these origin stories, they're never as good as what you made up in your head and what you interpret based on the clues that you have. I'm really happy with how Picard is. They don't set it up in TNG as, it's such a mystery why he doesn't like kids. It's just, hey, this is a dude that doesn't like families and has focused on his career. Fine.
Right. That's okay.
They never set it up as a drama or a trauma.
That can be an okay person. But what they're trying to do, I fear, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, is they're saying at the writer's table, we want Picard to have a textbook happy ending where he's in love with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't do that, they say, because all of the history says this. So let's give him a trauma so that
to explain that he can get past.
Why he can get past it, so that when we end Picard, he can end in the arms of Loris. And the fans aren't going to say, what the fuck? That's not how he would go out. And that's the hardest part for me is like, I don't feel like, and I can't speak for all fans, I don't need Picard to be in love and to be happy. Like, if he really has been traumatized and he wants to get past it, that's one thing. But every interaction that I see him have is, I'm okay. This is just how I am. Not a big deal.
Yeah, he's pretty comfortable.
So they're asking us to believe that he's not okay. He does need to get past this, and this is going to be a breakthrough. And then when he gets to the dream sequence, and then it's revealed that she's Romulan, and and then he has this revelation, like, we need to figure out who Q is before. That seems to me like something that he would have already been able to reach because he's a strategist.
You would think so.
I don't know. I just feel like the writers are forcing us into a love story, and that's one of my least favorite tropes.
And it kind of belittles the Picard that we know from TNG in the movies, because it's saying, oh, he would have been better if he dealt with this sooner and had been coupled with somebody. It's presuming that this is a piece of Picard that's been missing because it's a piece that every human needs. No, perhaps not. Like, the only inkling we've had of that was in Generations, when his family home is burnt down and he loses his nephew and brother and realizes, oh shoot, there's no more Picards. And the only obligation he feels is to carry on the family name. So he says, like, that pressure was relieved because his nephew Rene would be the next Picard and he could focus on his career. Now, because of his choices, he can't further the line. But he kind of comes to peace with that and makes his peace with it. I genuinely believe that they are forcing something here that doesn't need to be explored, doesn't need to be developed upon.
Should we make
do it in a different way?
Should we make a ridiculous prediction?
Go for
based on Snowflake?
Yes.
And no, not Snowflake. Based on the fake, the Q babies.
Yes.
That one of the things writers are considering is how to give life to a new baby Picard that can carry on the name.
Oh, 100%. I think that's it.
Like, we can't say goodbye to Picard, so we're gonna have to figure out a way, because the Golem body is young enough, and maybe there's a way that he falls in love, and this is like...
What if it's worse than that? What if they retcon and he has a baby during TNG? So what if they retcon it and they make him have a child when he's younger and it retcons TNG? They can't do that, but I can't imagine 90-year-old Picard having a baby. I don't know.
But science.
But science will let it happen. I don't know. It'll be Laris and...
A little test tube baby. It's a Picard and a Romulan. They touch fingers, and then they...
in the middle of the sun, and it makes a baby.
With Q around them.
That's got to be the goal, hasn't it? So that this isn't the last Picard that ever Picards.
Right? They're doing something very specific here, and they're trying to make sure that by the end, they excuse away the things that the fans would have a question about. Maybe.
I mean, they didn't bother with Kirk. Like, Kirk had a son, and they killed him, and there's no more Kirks. Unless, I mean, he has a brother, but... they just weren't concerned about it. I don't know. I just feel like they're focusing on something nobody is asking for. Like, we are happy with our captain as he is. If this was an organic, natural, like, the inciting incident here is Q. There's no other inciting incident of Picard being unhappy or melancholy. He doesn't mention kids or family or anything in the last season. It's just spurted up out of the blue.
One of the ways I feel that they could really play into this decision that they've made this episode to spend so much time, like, with this door and the potential of Picard wrestling with whether or not to open a door, is to make the decision to open a door or close a door really, really relevant in this series. Right? Like, like, if there's a decision that's about to be made, maybe with Agnes or the future or some massive decision where he could open it and let something dangerous out, but he decides not to.
Or open the door to La Sirena and vent Agnes into space.
But even so,
I don't know, that's a reach.
I feel like the motivations needed to come earlier in the season. This episode right here, it really should have been placed, I think, in a different way. But for so many reasons. Because this could have all happened with the people at the table. Like, one of his own crewmates could have gone into his mind. Because they could have created some reason to have tech because they can do whatever they
want. Have a Vulcan crew member and get an actual mind meld going on. I don't know. It feels clunky. It feels like they're rushing towards. I think they have a clear vision of what they want from it, but they're getting it into such a backwards way. And the setup of Q fucking with time is so fun, and this is such a not fun outcome.
Nothing is happening really with timeline anymore, though.
No.
Like
they're just ignoring it.
It's totally there's that episode where they were in like a future, like an alternate future. I remember thinking, I can't care about this because it's going to be undone. And now we've spent like 4 episodes.
Yeah, I can't care about this because
where I don't know, and it's worse. So that means that there's only one episode that I'm really invested in. And it's looking more and more and more like they're only going to go back to it in that last episode.
I think so.
And I'm really bothered by that because that's the show I want. That's the show I wanted to have last time, was the crew finally together doing shit in space. And what did they do? They immediately send the crew out in different necks of the wood. Mm-hmm. People are arrested. People are separated. How are they beaming back to the ship? Like, we don't know all this stuff. I don't understand what's happening.
Now we can just assume they tap the communicator a certain amount of times and then get beamed back, or they talk to the ship and the ship can do it.
I will say we did predict correctly that the girlfriend, Rios's girlfriend, was going to be making an appearance, coming back, and I predicted that she was going to see some shit she wasn't supposed to see. Yeah. So that's, we're on track there.
Rios is going to either take them with him or stay behind, one of the two.
Or have to do something like go and mind wipe. I just don't understand how everyone is forgetting their purpose. It just seems like they're getting really, really distracted and not being smart for the sake of the story. And what that does to me is like, well, if they don't care, then why do I?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why do I care about this timeline? We'll wrap up that in ReSInstance. There was one line that. Because I was thinking, well, if there's all of this deep, deep trauma, did Deanna not ever sense it as a betazoid? Like, did she not get in there? And of course, they had to slip the line in saying that, well, sometimes a betazoid therapist isn't good enough at all. And even there's too many walls even for them to sense. So, yeah,
they
fine,
do this
whatever.
a lot. They did this with the... I managed to get the replicators to work for the coffee.
Yeah.
Or we got into the lost and found bin and found enough clothing for 3 adults.
Yeah.
To have a pretty good outfit. The things they choose
to explain away is very specific. It's like, okay.
I mean, I wrote it down. How are they all changing clothes?
Yeah.
I did write that down, so thank you for explaining it to me. But then I have questions.
It's so clunky.
You're at a hospital. How are people losing that many clothes?
Yeah.
Like, how are
many people are dying?
Pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not lost and found.
It's weird.
It's somebody else's clothing that didn't make it, I guess.
There was a couple of cool quotes. So when Picard was going into the dungeon, there was a quote from Best of Both Worlds when he's Locutus, and there was a cute quote from Tapestry, the episode that we watched where Picard has to choose whether to be the science officer or to die on the table, and Q gives him a chance to replay his history. He says, yeah, I'd rather die as the man I was than be whatever this thing is. So it's nice that they put a Tapestry nod in there, because I was like, yeah, that is what you're pulling from.
Yeah, there were some good quotes in here. There was actually a quote from the mother when she was running out of that. And she's like, I am glad to have known you. If this is all the time that I have with you, I can't remember it verbatim because I was like, man, that's a really great thing to say. And if that's something that she did say to him, or if that's just an amalgamation of his memories of how his mother spoke to him, it was still really beautiful.
Perhaps that's one of the few cogent moments she had. So maybe she's saying, if this is one of the only moments I have where I'm sane and where I'm in this moment with you, I need you to know no matter what, I love you, even if I'm going to be bonkers in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I want you to understand how deeply I love you no matter how long we have. And it kind of went on from there.
One of the ones that I liked from her was, you're just like your father. He expresses himself
with his hands
and not with his mouth. And I was like, that's deep, and that's really harsh.
Especially if he ends up choking her to death.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's pretty dark. While we're talking about quotes, you may have heard me and Aaron groan. So when when the nurse says, "Are you from space?" And he's like, "No, I'm from Chile. I work in outer space." That is a direct quote from Star Trek 4. So when Kirk meets somebody she says, "Do you live in space?" And he says, "No, I only work in space. I'm from Idaho or Iowa." No, that's it. I'm from Iowa. There's another little Star Trek 4 nod. Okay, I do want to talk about. There are actually two scenes that I did enjoy, and I do enjoy that we're still having a little bit of time with Agnes and Queenie. I mean, again, what do we do with Raffi and Seven? Let's have them argue about relationships again, drink coffee, and exposit about the Borg. Like, that's all they did this episode. And the annoying thing is, like, they're going to track down Agnes. Where do they end up at the end of the episode? We need Picard. So the fuck are you doing then? Like, you can put two and two together. As soon as you see the Borg programming on the ship, it's a fair assessment that Queen is taking over Agnes, and if she's not on the ship, it means that she's going to try and assimilate some people. That is the point that you need Picard. Like, I don't get why following her trail gave them any more information other than we need to give them something to do this episode. It's like, just cut them out of the show. If you're not going to do something with them, cut them out.
I don't mind them that much for what we need to have some momentum with the Borg stuff. So I think it makes sense that some of the crew are going to go figure out, where they are. It just blows my mind how they choose to get around and choose to separate when they could really be in a lot of places pretty quickly if they were clever about how to get there. I mean, they're using the transporter. They're transporting items. So, like,
pretty willy-nilly with the transporter.
Let's just zip over here. Let's zip over there. Let's zip over here. Like, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to figure things out. But then again, they're not spending a lot of time talking about that part in this episode. In this episode, it's more, let's have a revelation for Picard. Let's show the audience some of the trauma. Let's give a little bit of backstory there. Let's try to figure out if we can summon a Q.
We'll get onto that in ReSINstance.
Let's figure out. We need them to be separated. We need to create more tension, more reason for everybody to be apart.
Why is this separation thing attention? I'm so bored of it. It's like, once again, we've been arrested. How many times are they going to get arrested?
I was so excited if that was going to be a Q.
I was convinced
like,
it was a
cool.
Q.
This is really cool because she can't sense him for some reason because something is off.
Yeah.
He's being really clever and casual.
She did the fingers.
She did the finger thingy. Yeah. And I thought, oh, wow. I don't know this actor at all. He's not familiar to me, but I'm really liking what he's doing. He's being kind of like,
nonchalant.
Cocky and
has more knowledge than we know.
FBI? Are you okay?
I don't need the FBI in this. I don't care.
Yeah, that was interesting. And again, the tension here is not. So that just means they're going to spend more time on another episode trying to get everyone back together before the end somehow.
This is episode 8. What do we need to do? We need to get the band back together again so that 9 and 10 can be the big finale. Make
exactly
your series 6 episodes long then. This is what I was worried about. But then again, I do love what they're doing with Agnes, and that is the mission I wanted them to have, is that the Queen wants to assimilate Earth. This makes everything kind of make sense for what the Queen is doing and her motivations. I wish we were doing more there.
I do too. I wish we were following Agnes but at the same time, I would have a lot of questions about why she doesn't already have a little mini army. But we now realize that it's because she's trying to come into her power through the use of the endorphins are going to give her what she needs. She's
weak. This is a very inefficient way to assimilate someone, but it's the only way that she has.
Yeah. So we've got like a slow boot up happening essentially.
Yeah. Now I did like. I'm so glad that we brought Guinan back, and it does kind of make sense. Like, if you want to summon, I mean, is it that he wanted to summon Q or AQ?
I think AQ.
If he wants to summon Q, then he can just say, "Hey Q, come here," because he's always listening,
though, right?
But and he would. Well, yeah, I guess so. But I guess summoning AQ makes more sense because it's like, look, can you just like give us a hand here? Like, we kind of need to find out why Q's going so bonkers. But it seems like Picard's figured it out. It seems like he knows what Q's motivation is, and now he wants to confront him and say, "I'm listening. If you want to talk, buddy, then let's talk." Because it sounds like Q's motivation has been not necessarily to dig into Picard, but to have Picard is one of the few people that will be able to see him for the being that he is.
Sure.
I mean, just get a therapist, Q, apparently.
I don't know. It sucks that I have started to untether my last fucks for the show.
It's sad. It's a shame.
The only reason that I'm in at this point is to see what's going to happen with Borg Queen. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm in for.
100%.
Which sucks to say.
Of course. No, I totally agree. Yeah, another meandery, weird episode. We are getting some answers, but it's just not a fun journey to get to them, I guess. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, are we under the impression that there's nothing more to do with Renee?
No. Well, that'll come back. Like,
you think so?
She said that everything's fine, but no, we'll get some confirmation.
You saved Renee. You did it. You saved her. And I'm like,
and she
what?
seems fine. No, I think we'll get more confirmation on that, definitely. But on that point, I did the power, the Q's plan to be a therapist makes more sense, because his original plan was to just snap her away. Because at the end of that episode, she's reading a book. He does his speech, clicks his fingers. That click was to vanish Renee, or to mentally just tell her, you're not going to go on this mission, or whatever the mission is.
He was then kind of messing with her.
Exactly. Then that's how he was going to change the timeline. But then he has to go the convoluted therapy route because he doesn't have all of his powers. Just a realization I had.
Interesting. So then in your mind, it's confirmed and pretty confident that what he's messing with, or whether it's the timeline thing that needs to change, or a red herring is to get her to not go on the Europa mission.
It could still be the other thing, because whatever he was snapping his fingers for,
can they stop creating more things for us to fucking keep track of, and just do one or two things really, really fucking well?
That sums it up.
I
just
feel
do that.
like I'm getting fucked with at this point.
Well, with that, before before the ambassador hits the self-destruct, let's head to engineering for ReSInstance is futile.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, and it's becoming quite apparent Star Trek is well within that as well. I want to zero in on the Q summoning moment thing. That's a huge one for me. And it's probably not for the reason that you expect. I love that we got a tiny little sliver of backstory and exposition into Guinan's race, the Elorians, and their relationship with the Q. It didn't have to be this big origin story. I mean, it's ironic. It's one of those things I am interested in finding the origins of, but it was enough that there was fighting, and they eventually agreed, we need a truce. This is a waste of our time. And I quite like the idea that was captured in a bottle, and this is how, it's the red phone line. If we ever need to talk to each other again, this is how we do it. I take issue with the fact that Guinan says, you want me to summon a Q? I think that's beyond my powers. Oh, other than this exact thing that I have to do, this exact thing that works every single time. No, it's not beyond your powers then, is it? And does every Elorian have one of these bottles? Or is it very lucky that Guinan was the only Elorian that was trusted with the only conduit to the Q? Picard makes a fucking leap here that shouldn't pay off, and does. It's really, really
does,
sloppy.
And then it doesn't.
And then, of course, the thing that works every single time doesn't work this time.
I'm going to say the fact that she didn't burp.
Well, after she drank it? I mean, she did. Did you not hear it? It was like, it shattered bottles. No, she was like...
Oh, you think that was the burp?
Yeah,
I thought she was just making like a scream.
Yeah, it was, but it could have well been like the most almighty burp. We haven't done it yet. I was just burping.
Yeah.
Now we summon Q. Like, holy shit.
Right, like that was just the beginning.
Yeah.
And then she's like...
There's like 4 more steps yet.
And then all she takes out like a little phone, and she's like, hey, it's me. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I just had to like speed dial.
We needed something humorous there. And what I wanted was in the silence when she went, and then just like a little like, that would have been really, really fun. Yeah. So I'm sinning that was the lack of a perfect moment for a...
Oh, I love it.
For something.
No, that's cool.
I would do something on this one where I would have a little bit of fun at the beginning, and I would say, I would sin that we're not actually in space. So I would be like, okay, you finally get me back in space and you take it away from me. Like, that's how I would kind of play around with the sin there.
Yeah.
Because I really loved that this opened in space. It made me so happy. We're looking at the sun. We zoom or we like, pull back, and we know we're in a space vessel of some kind. And I'm like,
It's why I always have hesitation about these time travel episodes. It's a long time to set your sci-fi show in a place that isn't very sci-fi. As many gadgets as you put in, what I want to see is spaceships. My big groan was Seven and Raffi saying, yeah, no, we're the main event. Rios and Agnes are just a side story. I was like, guys, like somebody needs to put some reins on the writers because they're going a bit wild. I don't know. Did you like that nod, or was it groany as well?
I groaned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was an attempt at humor.
The most damning assessment of a joke. I think that was an attempt at humor. What else have you got?
One of my biggest sins in this is that Rafi and Seven, Rios, and 2 humans, one being a child, all beam back to the ship, where in the back is the carcass of a Borg queen just hanging on the wall.
It's still chilling out. And the kid's
just
like,
slowly rotting.
I'm going to go touch everything. Oh, no, don't touch the corpse. Or Elnor.
No, Seven and and Rafi, like maybe that's not a big deal because this is just like they know that she's there. But for Rios to bring civilians trying to look like the good guy, by the way.
Yeah, but just trying to like show off how big his dick is what he's doing.
He's
look
like,
at my spaceship.
Look at my spaceship. So you just kidnapped somebody. You know that you don't get consent for that. There's no way someone can consent to being beamed into
because they won't believe you.
They wouldn't even understand it. So whatever conversation happened, there's no fucking way that mom would be like, yes, take me and my son, whom she's obviously very protective of.
Let's vaporize us.
Let's just get out of here. You know that thing that appeared in my hand? Same thing's going to happen to us, but we're going to appear in a spaceship. She'd be like, get the fuck away from me. She'd grab her kid and she'd get out of there. Yeah. So they get there, right? She's still just casually holding her coffee. Kid runs off. He should be screaming bloody murder because there's a half torso. Like there's a dead thing on the wall.
It could have been really funny if like he ran off and said, I'm going to touch everything. And Rios goes, yeah, cool. Oh wait, fuck, the queen.
Yeah.
It's like, kid,
someone please remember that she's there.
Just remember she's hanging there. Unless they've cleaned her up, which I don't know. I feel like you just like
no, she's just hanging out there.
Yeah, beam her into no, you can't beam her into space because you can't leave that in the past. In the past. Speaking of the nurse, my good golly, how about I'm going to give you this bit of technology from 500 years in the future, and I'm going to trust you to use it exactly. And guess what? You will.
Because there's a big button on the back.
Press the big button. And if it's that easy to use, why didn't Rios use it?
That's exactly what I wrote down.
It's so dumb.
Is it because she didn't trust him to approach the patient? That was one of the things I was wondering, is that she was kind of guarding the patient. But
if he knows what the thing is, he knows better than her how to use it. Like, just because she is a doctor, like, I could give a, what could I give? I could give an intubator, like one of those metal things that you open up the throat to get the tube down. I could give that to somebody from the year 900, and just because they're a doctor, it doesn't mean they're not going to shove it up my arse instead of in my throat. Like, there is no way to know what that thing does.
Yeah. And then they had the conversation, and she's like, so it's this part of the brain, and it's a dopamine, it's a whatever, and I was just like,
hypothalamus, just name different parts of the brain.
Just put it on his fucking head and let's go. Let's go.
I don't know. It's dumb. Probably the most sinful line in the whole episode was Rios saying, I have to explain this to you in a way that doesn't break time. Welcome to my spaceship. And then fuck it up.
So annoying.
Why care? Like, the choices that people are making are baffling.
It's
so
ridiculousness. I would also want to sin the part, like, so it's during the, I think it's the psychiatrist, kind of the psych evaluation part. And the dad character is saying that Picard is untethered in the ways of the heart. And Picard said, well, what's the relevance to this? Which is my, like, exactly. And then the dad figure says something like, why is it so difficult to let people in? And I'm watching this character fuck with Picard. Yeah. So it's mind-blowing to me that we have a Picard character who knows that being guarded is how you survive. And the show is wanting to tell us that you have to crack open your heart and let dangerous people in. So I would want to try to figure out a way to sin that ideas. And I think maybe the response, the sin would just be maybe because everyone is dangerous. Like if the question is, why is it difficult to let people in? The answer is because people are dangerous and you shouldn't just let anyone in.
You shouldn't. The biggest problem here is that this is Picard's brain talking to himself.
His own brain. Yeah, none of it really matters.
External, exactly, with no external factor. The only reason this conversation is happening is because he's in a coma. Like, Laris hasn't done anything. Like, Laris is in there, but the thing she's doing isn't digging for clues. She doesn't dig him out. He does all of this on his own. So why is this happening now as opposed to 30 years ago, 20 years ago?
Ridiculousness.
It's so contrived, and I'm sorry that we keep shitting on this show, but I wish it was better.
It's hard, you guys. I want to like it so much. I loved watching Picard, Sir Patrick Stewart, like with these acting scenes. I feel like they gave him something to do this time with like passion anger and frustration and not trusting his own mind and knowing he was being fucked with somehow. He was fucking with himself. But just this, like, something is happening here, and Sir Patrick Stewart is acting it, and he's doing the service to what he's been given. What I'm sinning is what he's been given.
Exactly. And I'm more saying how we get there and how we got there as well in the situation he's in. The beauty of TNG is, I'll say it over and over and over again, you were being preached at without realizing you were being preached at. You could easily write off the episodes as, oh, this is a fun bit of camp space adventure, but the messages and the speeches were fantastic, and it tricked you into being a better person. This isn't doing that. This is, we want to focus everything around the Picard speech and the emotional breakthrough we want to get to. Oh, I guess we need some fun stuff as well, instead of making that your starting point. It's missing the message. It's gar rumble rumble grumble.
It's a gar rumble rumble
It's a gar rumble rumble.
Do you have one at the ready? I've got another one ready to go.
Go for it.
There was a kid would be excellent at CinemaSins moment when the mom, I actually really enjoyed this one, when the mom is like, okay, honey, I'm about to say some bad words. And then she shuts his helmet, and then she turns around and she's giving it to Rios, but she only says like one or like.
Yeah, it's like damn or something.
She says goddamn.
Yeah.
And he's like, Mom, you didn't even say the good ones. And I'm like, my sin would be kid would be excellent at CinemaSins, because she really didn't. I was expecting her to like come unglued.
Absolutely go to town on him.
I do really like her character.
I love her.
And I love how she's playing the character.
Yes.
And I love Rios's character.
I do.
I just don't like how they're putting the characters together and making them talk.
Exactly. I love her sass. I love
she's great.
Stop coming towards me like you're a serial killer.
Yeah, so
good. You absolutely, that's what you're doing.
Yep.
My final nitpick I'll end on is, and I love Rios, but this line broke me when he says to her, like, she says, "Who are you?" And he says, "Who do you want me to be? I'll change everything to be with you." Ha 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 ha. What? It's like, I'll be a good guy if you want me to be a good guy. The power of boners, man, so strong with somebody you should not even be talking to, let alone seducing. Is Rios Captain Kirk and just a bit of a ladies' man, or is he this more emotional, empathetic, passionate person that we know? And I know, yes, you can be both, but there is some of his boner is just really getting in the way of who I feel like he is. It's so strange. And maybe I'm being influenced by the books that I've read, which characterize him a little bit differently.
They're reducing this character into somebody who loses part of his personality because he thinks that he might get laid or have a genuine connection. That could actually be happening, but he should also know better than to be talking to somebody from a completely different century than him in the past that could really fuck with some stuff, because everything matters when you're just messing with he's not here to get laid. He's not here to fall in love. And maybe this is part of his story, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. But
they may as well just throw it out the window, unless they know that this is how history plays out. Or
what if they're doing something really interesting here where they're showing how Rios is also building something into his mind that becomes something later? Like, if the show is going to... So Picard has got this stuff in his mind that's hurting himself from his past.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at Picard trying to unpack some of his trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Well, put that front and center with Rios's as well. Give another person, another character, that same kind of moment of going, look at this person who obviously has some weird shit going on, because he's willing to say, I will break myself down and make myself into someone new so you like me. And that is a huge problem.
That's a huge problem. That's something worth digging into as well.
If you hear someone say that in your life, it's not like, oh my God,
it's not as flattering as you think it is.
Thank you for being willing to become my drone.
Not be you. Yeah, Yeah, be everything other than yourself.
If Rios has this in his mind somewhere, my curiosity goes to, okay, is that because he doesn't want to lose someone because he lost his captain?
Mm-hmm.
And I can actually trace back some of his trauma because the show has shown it to me.
Yes.
Whereas with Picard, they really haven't done that yet. So they're trying to just kind of lore dump for us, which could be really neat if they had maybe peppered it throughout the whole series somehow, kind of like sprinkled it in. But they're
Well,
just
they've
like
tried to with the
one
flashbacks,
episode.
but they're
But
so
that's not enough.
vague. It's not enough.
That's not enough. It's a curiosity dip, but it's not enough. When you have all this other stuff going on, we've got a timeline thing happening, we've got love stories going on, we've got a Borg Queen on the loose, we've got all these different things happening. So we can't really focus on what they're wanting us to focus on. But like here, Rios says this line, and to me it's like, oh, buddy, you got your own stuff that you're going to, because you don't, that's not a good thing to say.
And what's worrying is that what if the writers aren't thinking about that? What if that was just a throwaway line and it isn't a glimpse into Rios's trauma?
Is.
And it likely is that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I hope that in the future, when they're pulling back some footage and they're creating another story and they wink and nod to something that was said, that they look at that and they're like, this is actually a moment we can use, because that is a juicy bit of peeking into someone's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not pretty, but it's interesting.
It's something that
because
exists.
he's doing dumb shit. He is taking the woman figure back to his ship. So
I
anyway.
hope Picard and Laris and everyone tear him a new arsehole.
I do too. He should be in big fucking trouble.
Yes. I don't know.
I would also sin when they get back, when Rafi and Seven are back and Rafi sets down the coffee mug and she's like, at least the replicators work. My first thing I wrote down was, and you trust what the Borg ship is serving you right now?
At that point, she doesn't know it's the Borg ship.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because
they've been locked out.
Oh wait, no, because she just cracked the code.
They've been locked out already, and she knew it was Borg tech.
Oh, she knew it was a Borg code.
So it's like, okay, I wouldn't trust anything that
you're
this ship is doing.
You're drinking a ton of fucking nanoprobes. Man, if that does end up being true, just like, you're trying to stop me, but sucks to be you. I'm already assimilating you.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Maybe that is what happened.
Cool?
You should have said that in predictions.
Well, we'll just say that that's going in the predictions.
That'll be a big prediction. I love it. That's really cool.
I would also send the shit out of that filtery thing, like the drunk filter that we had going on through a lot of the episode. Just one little casual, like, this annoying shaky filter, and then just move on.
Yes. Oh, man. Also, let's leave some evidence of La Sirena in this clinic. Like Rios' drawing of it. Like, let's just leave some fucking schematics on the ground.
It's like a cave drawing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's made of chalk, so it's going to disappear.
It's going to disappear,
unless someone laminates that wall, and then
it.
In the future they come back and it's like shows him.
Man,
we didn't talk about how this episode ends with the FBI showing footage, and we actually send the Picard teleported in the middle of the day in the middle of the street.
We did, yes.
So now here the show is saying we know, and we're sending it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were doing the show and we were sitting the show and that happened as we were live sinning, which, does happen sometimes when we're watching a series where the show answers a question that we've already sent.
Yeah.
My instinct is to go and find another way to send that, which would be, so why does the FBI have time to be scanning these things? Like, what does it do?
Did somebody report it? Like, because most of these things they're only used if there's been a crime. It's not like they're being watched 24/7.
Right. It's just like days and days and days later, we have...
I mean, maybe we're going to find out...
a lot of resources for what?
Well, maybe we find out that a few strange occurrences have been reported, and then they start tracing the footsteps of these people.
If they don't have footage of that bridge when Laris takes Picard in that like open door thing, do you remember?
Oh shoot, yes.
That needs to be on here
under
too.
A bridge. Yeah. And maybe it's the big car chase. Maybe they're following a trail from the car chase where Raffi and Seven disappeared. That's got to be linked to it, hasn't it? It has to be. I mean, yeah. At this point, you may as well just use transporters whenever you want, because
it doesn't matter.
You've left all of the evidence now. Yeah. This has got some of the worst don't interact with the timeline interactions I've ever seen.
Unless they have an explanation for it. There's one little sliver of hope that because they're bringing back this little transporter bit, that maybe they're paying enough attention and they have a plan.
Who?
The writers.
Oh, the writers, I'm sure they do. But the problem is the characters don't. The characters clearly do not have a plan for how to not interact with the 21st century.
No, this is all going away. This is all going away.
Yeah. So...
That's my prediction.
Okay. With that, let's head to the final stop, which is the captain's ready room. And also, for the fans that are wondering why we transport everywhere ourselves inside the ship...
We can.
Welcome to the Captain's Ready Room, where we hear our predictions for the rest of the season and basking on Q-like glory if anything we've predicted has previously come true. Now, last week I forgot to mention that I did have a big prediction come true that I made in the intro, which was...
Yeah, you predicted that Agnes was going to be gone by the Borg Queen. And she was assimilated.
Yes. Yeah, that she was actually assimilated and going to start assimilating Earth. Like, I'm getting these predictions on fire.
On fire. I don't really have a ton. I have one kind of inkling in my mind that maybe Borg Queen, if she does start assimilating, because if they're going to just undo the timeline here, then nothing that happens is going to matter. So
yeah, she can start assimilating.
Let's see assimilation go down, right?
Yeah.
So Picard is like stuck in the like the federal offices, and she finds him and assimilates people and frees, and like so it could be the Borg Queen like saves Picard somehow.
Yeah,
I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do.
So I predict that escape is going to go something like this: let's beam them out, which is the correct thing to do. Picard will say, "No, we can't risk it; it's too dangerous," which is bullshit because they already know transporter beams are there, but they still won't be able to do that. Q. Yeah, Agnes will. There'll be some distraction with Agnes causing chaos, and that's how they're able to escape. And none of it will eventually matter because the timeline's going to be reset. I think that's how that goes. It doesn't matter. I'm just frustrated that they're captured again. Just let them be free, for crying out loud. With Q, I predict that they couldn't summon Q because there are no Q.
Ever?
No, I think that the Q... Something has happened to the Q continuum where it is broken, and maybe Q is the last of the Q. So maybe he's witnessed their destruction, and that's what's pushed him over the edge, and in his hour of desperation... he reaches out to the one person that he's kind of interacted with the most, which is Picard.
So you think RQ is the last Q?
I think RQ is the last Q.
Wow.
And because he's now lost his powers, because the Q continuum is gone, that's why Guinan couldn't summon him as well. Because he's now more mortal than he is Q.
Whoa.
Now, if I'm going to really go out on a limb, perhaps it's because... Agnes and Queenie assimilate Earth in the past, which gives the Borg a foothold in the Alpha Quadrant way earlier than they should have done, which allows them to assimilate everybody and eventually overpower the Q. So maybe the Borg kill the Q because of this time meddling in the past. So it all comes back to Q and Agnes. I hope. It's where I would take it because I think that's fucking badass.
It is fucking badass. We should write for the series.
I'm still missing that upbeat, like, when things end on a really down note, the really upbeat note. I can't wait to watch Best of Both Worlds with you, and you will cackle at the sudden... That's my big predictions for how kind of 8, 9, and 10 are going to go.
We will see. We don't have very many episodes left of Picard, and honestly, I am relieved.
Ditto.
Which sucks to say.
My most disappointing prediction was that in episode 4, I said that 4, 5, 6, and 7 are going to be like this, and then 8, 9, and 10 will be your big ones. And that's all but confirmed now, unless... I mean, even if 8, 9, and 10 are great, it's the last 3, and the last 3 are always your big woos. So yeah, really odd directions, really odd decisions being made. There's still lots to pull from. I'd be interested to know what it's like to watch it back to back and see if it holds up as a 10-hour thing any better. But as a weekly show, it is frustrating as balls and tropey as hell.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It started off too strong. I knew it was too good to be true. It was too much of a great start.
So we should just start writing our own episodes to make us feel better.
I think we have an audience for that.
Starting with
the space baby in the middle of the sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And the snowflake.
Nice.
Eating asteroids.
Eating ass.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Suddenly everything went wrong. I have all of the regrets.
People are going to love our Star Trek.
Heck yeah, they are. Well, with that, thanks for listening, everyone. It's So Say We All from me.
What's that?
So that is the salute from Battlestar Galactica. Whenever there was like the end of a speech, the General Adama or Admiral Adama, I can't remember, would say, "So say we all," and then the crowd would chant back, "So say we all," and that's where Picard's dad, that actor, is from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh wow! I was just gonna cast like Major Image to change my ears. For me.
And it's Major Image from Deneé. We'll see you next week for episode 8. And as always, live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Hoo-ha. Hello.
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 Yeah, you're working.
Yeah,
Good.
you're working.
Bloody
good.
hell.
Bloody hell. Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, boy.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
Giddy
What?
What?
I'm trying to work out which part of the country you're from,
I
but...
can't work out which part of the country you're from.
Cool, blimey, Gov.
Cool,
I
blimey,
think
Gov.
you're definitely from
You're
London
definitely from
somewhere.
London somewhere.
You got a bit of Amy
got a bit
Winehouse in you.
Winehouse in you.
I love this accent so much. Do the whole episode like that.
All right.
All right.
Suddenly I'm very shy.
Oh, you got a little bit of Adele, maybe.
What is it?
It's really good. It is. It's we have
You would tell me.
Well,
You
I
would tell
you
me.
if it was bad. Yeah. We have a special guest this week. This is Deirdre.
I'm Deirdre.
Yep. Her voice may fluctuate. She's
Quite
had
a lot, actually.
She's
Been
had-
drinking since 4 a.m. I don't know how to keep it up, though. I have to cover my
Well-
eyes so you can't see me. That's helpful.
Well, now you've gone pretty posh, actually. You've shifted a bit.
God damn it.
You actually look like a Star Trek alien now. Deneé has put her hat, her lovely beanie hat, over her glasses.
Yeah.
So the frames of her glasses are like poking out. So
Yeah,
she looks...
you can see the outline of my glasses.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
That's all right.
That's all right. I thought my posh accent was this one.
That's the really posh one. Yeah.
So there's really posh.
Yeah.
And there's slightly posh.
Oh, yeah. So this one is like really like kind of upper class Kate Middleton kind of style. The other posh was like my nan posh.
I don't understand the difference at all.
Well, my nan thought she was posh and she wasn't.
Oh, I see.
Okay, as has become kind of like the tradition in the outtakes, we're going to do a fan prediction. So this is JCD, who we don't really like very much. We don't really like JCD. He's a bit of a nuisance. He's a bit of a no. We love JCD.
Speak for yourself.
Lots. It's just me that has a problem with JCD.
You're just encouraging him.
Yes. So JCD hangs out pretty much everywhere on CinemaSins stuff, but this one came from Discord. So if you want to talk Trek spoilers and everything kind of CinemaSinsy, but specifically Captain's Pod, go to CinemaSins or go to Discord and then do the CinemaSins things, and we'll stick a link in the description. JCD's prediction is that Laris is a Q. So you thought that Laris is our Q, but maybe she's one of the different Q.
Oh, because the Q is a species.
Q is the species, but they're all called Q, which is so confusing.
I always forget that. I think Q is his name.
It is.
And his species.
Yes.
And also anyone else's species and name, if they are Q.
Yes.
Okay, got it. That clears it up and muddies it up all at the same time.
So this is this kind of links in. I like that prediction. I think that makes sense because it would make sense
as to why she's in his timeline as well,
and muted his powers as well. So maybe she's lying to everybody, saying, "Well, Q, who's Q? What's this?" And like, I am Q. That's going to lead us into describe an episode of Star Trek. This takes place during Voyager, Star Trek Voyager. Captain Janeway has a first officer called Chakotay, who is a Native American, and Q comes to the ship and decides that he needs help to rejuvenate the Q continuum. And he picks Chakotay to be the template for a new Q. Chakotay doesn't like this because he's a very modest man. He's very, very quiet. Janeway is offended that she wasn't picked, but tries to hide it, and Q manages to dig it out of her. Eventually, it turns out that in order to make Q babies, it has to happen inside a sun on the edge of going supernova. So they fly Voyager into the sun with a special Q shield. Q touches fingers with Janeway, and it makes a Q baby.
You are one of the things I genuinely wish that the podcast people could see is that when Ian gets excited about anything, he wiggles. Yeah. He wiggles like a little kid who has to pee. It's just like he just can't help his body. He's just like, I just said something. So you have these tells, you have these giveaways.
Okay.
And this is absolutely true. This is an absolute episode.
This is not an episode. I made it up.
You are such a dick.
I did it. I finally got her.
I shouldn't have told you how to get me last time, because when we did this at the live show, I was like, you're going to have to be more convincing than that. And you did it.
That's it. It was a great hustle. Great hustle. This is the round where I would have bet all of the money, because I've given you my tails and then I use my tails to misdirect you.
Such a dick. You even wiggled.
I did. I wiggled. So
On purpose?
Yeah, I was like wiggling and like getting, and then I kind of like stuttered a little bit as well. Don't play poker with me, lady.
You know, I feel like it's at this moment that I should not be surprised, because you were also a dungeon master.
Oh,
so
heck
you
yeah.
have to have the ability to like fake a whole bunch of stuff.
A ridiculous story.
Because I'm right now planning a one shot, and I'm already like getting like the secrets that I'm kind of building and the stuff that can all happen. And I'm like, man, if I'm not careful, I'm gonna give it away at these particular points. So I have to make sure that I'm ready to like lie my face off. And here show me the perfect way to do it.
Poker face.
So I have one win and one loss.
You do have one win, one loss. Now, my launching point was an actual episode, and what actually happens, it wasn't miles off.
Wait, oh.
What? Should I tell you? No? What?
Do they have to be in the sun?
No, it has nothing to do with the sun at all.
There's no Q shield?
There's no Q shield.
That was really fun visual in my mind.
Look here. Just like really straining. There is a civil war among the Q, because some of the Q think we need fresh blood, and some of the other Q think, no, we've been fine for millennia, we'll be okay. So he goes to Voyager to ask Janeway specifically to be the mother of a new Q child.
How does that how does that
Fork knows. So she assumes it's going to be biological and sex and stuff like that, and she's like, I'm not doing it. Also, I'm not having the burden of starting a new species. That's not going to be me. So eventually he picks up Janeway, takes her into the Q continuum in the middle of a civil war that has been made to look like the American Civil War. Q gets shot with a Q bullet.
Are we still playing the game?
This is real.
Put your hands up. Give me the sign.
Q gets shot with a Q bullet, and
a quillet.
A quillet, and eventually they agree. And I mean, the Q continuum agree to make a new baby, but within the Q. So Q's old girlfriend turns up and decides, fine, I'll make a baby with you. And that's
the best way to have a child, really, is the reluctant, like, fine, whatever, I'll have a kid.
I guess this will solve all of our problems, is literally like the moral of this story, is that a baby will solve the problems that the species has. And then they touch fingers and make a baby. So that's the episode. So I used it as a launching point, but made it super ridiculous.
The real one sounded more ridiculous. Are you recording?
We are recording. You can now Scatman all you like. Good. It's great. Get the laptop turned. So we have to get this done in 40 minutes.
I'm the scat man.